I never thought kindness could unravel a life built on lies. But that's exactly what happened the night I handed over my only umbrella to that frail old lady huddled against the wind-whipped awning of a corner bodega in Brooklyn. Lightning cracked the sky like a judge's gavel, and as the rain turned the sidewalk into a river of regrets, she looked up at me with eyes that pierced straight through to the secrets I'd buried a decade ago. Eyes that belonged to Evelyn Hargrove, the iron-fisted matriarch of the family that had destroyed mine. And in that split second, before the thunder drowned out her gasp of recognition, I realized the man I'd just agreed to marry, the one whose ring still warmed my finger like a false promise, was the same boy who'd watched me take the fall for his sins without shedding a single tear. It started innocently enough, or at least that's the lie we tell ourselves when fate decides to play dirty. 3 years ago, I was Gabriela Ruiz, a 28-year-old paralegal scraping by in a one-bedroom walk-up in Williamsburg, the kind of place where the rent ate half your soul and the roaches threw parties when you weren't looking. I'd clawed my way out of a rough childhood in the Bronx, absent dad, mom working double shifts at the hospital, me dodging gang tags on the way to school. Law school had been a pipe dream until a scholarship from some do-gooder foundation, but even then, I was just one bad break from the streets. That's when I met Ethan Hargrove at a charity gala for at-risk youth, the sort of black-tie affair where trust fund kids like him sipped champagne and patted themselves on the back for writing checks they wouldn't miss. He was all charm and old money, with that effortless wasp smile that said, "I've never known hunger, but I'll pretend I get it." 6 months later, we were engaged, and suddenly I was trading bodega coffee for brunches at the Polo Bar, my thrift store dresses for loans from his sister's closet. Ethan made it feel real. Whispers in the dark about building a life, escaping his family's shadow, starting fresh in some cozy brownstone upstate. But shadows don't fade. They just wait for the right storm to swallow you whole. The proposal happened on a crisp October evening at the top of the Empire State Building, the city lights twinkling like a million crooked promises below us. "Gabe," he said, dropping to one knee with a ring that probably cost more than my mom's annual salary. "You're the only one who sees me, not the Hargrove name." I said yes, tears blurring the view, because for the first time, I believed I could outrun my past. Little did I know, that past was about to chase me down in the form of a hurricane named Delilah, barreling up the East Coast like God's own eviction notice. The storm hit on a Friday, the kind that shuts down the subways and turns Manhattan into a ghost town. I'd been working late at the firm, buried in depositions for a corporate fraud case that hit a little too close to home. White-collar crooks hiding behind shell companies, just like the ones I'd read about in the tabloids growing up. By the time I emerged from the office on Lexington, the rain was horizontal, slicing through my coat like accusations. I dashed toward the nearest shelter, a dingy awning over a shuttered newsstand, and that's when I saw her, an old woman, maybe 80, her silver hair plastered to her skull, clutching a soggy purse like a lifeline. She was shivering, elegant even in defeat, with pearls that screamed old Fifth Avenue money. "Here," I said, thrusting my umbrella at her without a second thought. It was a cheap thing, black and battered from too many commutes, but it was dry. "Take it. I live 2 blocks away." She blinked up at me, rain tracing rivers down her lined face, and for a heartbeat, our eyes locked. Something flickered there, recognition? No, impossible. I turned to bolt, but her voice, frail yet commanding, stopped me cold. "Gabriela? Gabriela Ruiz." My blood turned to ice. I spun back, heart hammering against my ribs. "Do I know you?" She straightened, as if the storm owed her deference, and tilted her head. "Evelyn Hargrove, Ethan's grandmother." The name hit like a sucker punch. I'd heard stories. The Dowager Queen of the Hargrove dynasty, widow of a shipping magnate who'd built an empire on steel and secrets. Ethan rarely spoke of her, said she was old-world poison, the reason he rebelled with his do-gooder nonprofit gigs. But here she was, flesh and bone, staring at me like I'd risen from the grave. We ended up in a dive bar 2 doors down, the kind with neon signs buzzing like angry hornets and stools sticky from decades of spilled regrets. Over lukewarm coffee laced with whiskey. Her idea, not mine. She peeled back the layers of my life like an onion, each revelation stinging worse than the last. "I saw your photo in Ethan's wallet once," she said, her voice a rasp of cigarette smoke and privilege. The engagement announcement in the Times. But it's you, isn't it? The girl from the scandal. The one who vanished after the trial. I laughed, a brittle sound that cracked in my throat. The scandal. As if it were just a footnote in someone else's memoir. 10 years ago, at 18, fresh out of high school and head over heels for Ethan Hargrove, the golden boy of Dalton Prep. I'd been his shadow, his secret. We met at a summer job, him slumming it as a lifeguard at Jones Beach to piss off Daddy, me waitressing at the snack bar to save for community college. He was rebellion wrapped in khakis, promising forever between stolen kisses in the dunes. But forever for the Hargroves meant disposable help, not a Puerto Rican girl from the wrong side of the bridge. One night, buzzed on cheap tequila from a beach bonfire, he confessed his desperation. His family's hedge fund was bleeding cash from bad bets on subprime mortgages, years before the crash made headlines. His father, Charles Hargrove, needed a fall guy to cover an insider trading scheme. Falsified records, offshore accounts, the works. Just sign this. Ethan begged, shoving papers at me in the dim light of his father's study. Unlocked because the old man was too drunk on scotch to care. It's nothing. A temp job reference or something. Dad says it'll fix everything, and we'll run away together after. Stupid, lovesick kid that I was, I did it. Forged a signature on a dummy contract, thinking it was harmless bureaucracy. Next morning, the feds kicked in my door at dawn, headlines screaming, Hargrove in turn in fraud bust. Turns out, it was the linchpin. My name on the dotted line made the laundering look like low-level graft, not a billion-dollar conspiracy. I got 5 years probation, community service, and a record that killed any shot at real law school. The Hargroves? Slap on the wrist, a quiet settlement, and Ethan's troubled youth phase swept under the rug with a fat donation to the DA's re-election fund. I served my time in shadows, lost scholarships, Mom's endless apologies, jobs that paid in pity. Ethan? He ghosted me the day after the plea deal, a single text. Sorry, Gabe. Family first. I rebuilt, brick by bitter brick, vowing never to look back, until Evelyn's words hung in the air like smoke. Why now? I demanded, my voice barely above the bar's jukebox crooning some forgotten Springsteen track. Ethan doesn't know you're here. He thinks you're wintering in Palm Beach. Her lips curled, a ghost of a smile that didn't reach those predator eyes. Because, my dear, the boy you love is about to become the man his father always wanted. And you're the loose end that could unravel it all. She slid a worn envelope across the scarred tabletop, yellowed edges whispering of time capsules. Inside, photocopies of bank statements, emails time-stamped a decade ago, Ethan's own scrawled note, Gabe's clean. Use her. My hands shook as I read, the whiskey turning sour in my gut. Evelyn leaned in, her perfume a cloying mix of Chanel No. 5 and regret. I buried this to protect the family. But Charles is dead now. Heart attack last spring, the coward's exit. And Ethan's climbing, darling. Board seats, political whispers. He thinks marrying you seals his redemption arc. The poor boy makes good with the underdog bride. But if this surfaces, she trailed off, letting the threat bloom like a bruise. Betrayal isn't a single stab, it's a slow bleed. That night, as I stumbled home through the dying storm, the city reeking of wet asphalt and broken dreams, I clutched that envelope like a grenade. Ethan was due back from a DC trip tomorrow. Dinner at Le Bernardin, talk of wedding dates. But now, every kiss replayed as poison, every I love you as a lie polished to shine. Evelyn's parting shot echoed. What will you do, Gabriella? Forgive and forget, or burn it all down? I didn't sleep. Dawn crept in gray and unforgiving, painting my walls with the ghosts of what-ifs. By noon, Ethan was at my door, all boyish grin and takeout from Zabbers, oblivious to the war brewing in my chest. Missed you, babe. Storm was a beast, flight delayed twice. He kissed me, tasting of airport pretzels and deceit, and for a moment, I almost let it slide. Almost. But as we ate on the fire escape, watching pigeons squabble over crumbs below, the questions clawed free. Tell me about your family again, I said casually, spearing a bagel. The real dirt. Grandma Evelyn. Why the radio's silence? He stiffened, just a flicker, but I caught it. Old lady's a relic. Dad hated her meddling. Said she drove Mom to the bottle. A pause, his fork scraping china like nails on chalkboard. Why the sudden interest? I smiled, the kind that hides teeth. Just tying up loose ends before the big day. That night, while he showered, I rifled his phone, old habit from my PI side gigs. Buried in deleted folders, a thread from 5 years back, him to his sister Lila, found Gabe again. She's clueless. Wedding her kills 2 birds, PR win, and shuts her up forever. The shower shut off, and I was back on the couch, envelope burning a hole in my purse. He emerged towel-clad, all lean muscle and false innocence, and pulled me close. You're tense, Gabe. Talk to me. So I did. Not everything. Not yet. Just enough. I met your grandmother last night. In the rain. His face drained of color, faster than I'd imagined. What did she say? Nothing good. I watched him unravel. Excuses tumbling like dominoes. Evelyn's lies, family feuds, how he'd protect me now. But his eyes darted, calculating, just like that night on the beach. The boy who'd begged for my signature was still there, scheming behind the man. By week's end, the cracks spiderwebbed. Lila called, voice honeyed venom. Grand spinning tales again. Don't let her poison you, Gabriella. We're family now. But her texts to Ethan, hacked via a forgotten shared cloud account, painted different. If she digs, we're all underwater. Leak the Ruiz Priors. Make her the villain. Priors. As if my mom's petty theft for baby formula was comparable to their empire of fraud. Rage simmered, dark and delicious, the kind that sharpens knives in the quiet hours. I started small, anonymous tips to old contacts at the DA's office, whispers of Hargrove irregularities. Nothing stuck, yet. But Ethan noticed, pulling away, late nights at the office that smelled of bourbon and alibis. Evelyn reached out again, a lunch at the Four Seasons, where waiters glided like sharks in pressed whites. She was a vision in Chanel tweed, but her hands trembled on the menu. He's turning, Gabriella. Just like Charles. I see it, the flip. One day it's love, the next it's leverage. She pushed a USB drive across the linen, files encrypted but damning. Audio of young Ethan laughing with his father post-trial. She took the hit like a champ. Dumb bitch didn't even lawyer up. I played it in the cab home, tears hot against the leather seats. The storm had passed, but mine was just gathering force. Revenge isn't sweet. It's a bitter root that chokes everything else. I could walk away, cash the wedding registry, ghost to LA, start over as someone new. Or I could drag them into the light. Consequences be damned. Ethan proposed a weekend getaway to the Hamptons, his family's compound, a sprawling shingle-style beast on Georgica Pond, all white columns and whispered scandals. Reset, he called it. But I knew better. Containment. As we drove out on the lie, radio droning NPR scandals, I gripped the wheel of the rented Tesla, envelope and USB tucked in my glove box like loaded chambers. The house was a time warp, polished silver, family crests on the china, portraits of stern ancestors judging from the walls. Lila greeted us with air kisses and Rose, her husband, a bland venture capitalist, trailing like a shadow. Evelyn was there too, ensconced in the library with a sherry, her presence a polite intrusion. Dinner was a minefield, small talk about market dips and charity balls, Ethan's hand on my knee a vice of possession. That night, as waves lapped the shore like unanswered questions, I slipped into Charles's old study, Ethan's now, a shrine to ledgers and lies. The safe cracked easy. Years as a paralegal teach you locks and loopholes. Inside, the original contract, my forged signature yellowed but incriminating, alongside ledgers showing the real flow. Hargrove millions laundered through my name as the patsy. Footsteps. I froze as the door creaked. Not Ethan, Lila, eyes wide in the moonlight filtering through leaded glass. Gabe? What the hell? She lunged for the papers, but I was faster, slamming the safe shut. You knew. All of you. Her laugh was ugly, stripped of sorority polish. Knew? We saved you, idiot. Probation over prison? Ethan's idea, romantic, right? He loved you enough to let you live with the shame. She stepped closer, voice dropping to a hiss. But dig this up now, and it's not just us. Your mom's hospital bills? Traced back to our settlement fund. Poof, gone. And Ethan's nonprofit? The one you adore? Funded by the same dirty money. You burn us. You torch everything you built. Checkmate. My hand hovered over my phone. 911 or a journalist's tip line. Lila's words wormed in. The gray areas, the complicity I'd ignored. Hadn't I signed? Hadn't I stayed silent for love? Ethan found us there, dawn breaking bloody over the dunes. What's going on? His voice cracked, boyish again, but the calculation lingered. I held up the contract, steady as a gun. The truth, Ethan. All of it. He crumpled, confessions spilling like cheap wine. The pressure from Charles, the fear of losing the life he'd been groomed for, the plan to marry me as atonement. I was going to tell you, after the wedding, when it was safe. Lies, all of it, but laced with enough regret to blur the lines. Evelyn entered then, cane tapping like a metronome of judgment. Enough, boy. You've played your hand. To me. Take it public, Gabriella. Ruin us. But ask yourself, who pays the real price? The staff we've employed for generations? The charities we've propped? Or that little boy in the Bronx you tutor, whose after-school program's on our dime? The room spun, alliances shifting like sand. Lila defended Ethan with sisterly fire. He reached for me, pleading redemption. Evelyn watched, the spider in her web, her own flips revealed in a final whisper. She'd leaked the files to me not for justice, but to oust Ethan from the succession, securing her grip on the remnants of the empire. By noon, sirens wailed, my anonymous call from the guest bath, coordinates pinned to the study safe. Feds swarmed the beach house, cuffs clicking on wrists I'd once caressed. Ethan went quietly, eyes locking on mine with a mix of hate and hunger. You did this, he mouthed, as if I were the villain. Lila spat as they led her out. Traitor bitch. Hope the headlines taste good. Evelyn. She smiled, untouched, vanishing into a waiting town car with a nod that said, well played. The fallout was biblical. Hargrove Holdings tanked 40% overnight, headlines screaming, dynasty of deceit. I testified, voice steady under fluorescent lights, but each word carved out a piece of me. The girl who'd believed in love over legacy. Mom called from the hospital, voice breaking. Proud of you, Mija. But the check stopped, bills piling up. Guilt gnawed, a constant companion. Ethan's nonprofit folded, kids like the ones I'd been losing safe havens. Protests erupted, Save the Hargroves trending, painting me as the gold digger who toppled titans. Late-night texts from old friends. You went too far, Gabe. They were changing. Was I the hero? The vengeful harpy? Or just another cog in the machine of American greed, trading one betrayal for another? Ethan wrote from Rikers, a smuggled letter via his lawyer. I deserved it. But you? You'll carry this forever. Months blurred into therapy sessions and job hunts. The ring pawned for rent. Evelyn surfaced once more, a package on my stoop. A check, enough to cover Mom's treatments, no strings, and a note. Blood or not, you're a Hargrove now. Use it wisely. I tore it up. Or I didn't. That's the twist no one sees coming. In the quiet of my new apartment, overlooking a city that chews up dreamers and spits out survivors, I stare at the fragments and wonder. Forgiveness? A fresh start with laundered cash? Or fuel it into a bigger fire? Expose Evelyn's final shell game. The one that funnels empire scraps to politicians who promise reform but deliver more rot? The storm's over, but the thunder rolls on. And me? I'm still deciding whose side I'm really on. The decision didn't come easy, if it came at all. Some nights, I'd wake in a cold sweat, the echo of Ethan's plea, you did this, bouncing off the walls of my shoebox in Bushwick, where the L train rattled past like Judgment Day on rails. It was cheaper than Williamsburg, closer to the chaos I deserved, with graffiti-tagged bricks that whispered, you're home, in a language of spray paint and survival. Mom's treatments bought time. Chemo rounds that left her stronger than the cancer, for now, but every deposit from that pawned ring felt like swallowing glass. Reporters camped outside the courthouse during the hearings, mics thrust like spears. Ms. Ruiz, was it love or leverage? I'd shove past, no comment, but inside, the question festered. Love? The kind that blinds you to red flags waving like surrender banners? Leverage? Yeah, that too. The power of a woman who'd learned to weaponize her scars. The Hargrove trial dragged through summer into fall, a media circus with cable news pundits dissecting my rags-to-riches revenge. Arc Fox called me a feminist vigilante, MSNBC, a working-class warrior. Twitter, X, whatever, erupted in think pieces, Gabriella Gate, memes of me as Lady Justice with a Bronx accent. Ethan took the hardest hit. 15 years for conspiracy, his golden boy facade shattered on live TV. Sentencing day, he looked smaller in the dock, orange jumpsuit clashing with the bespoke suits of his legal dream team. Our eyes met across the courtroom, and for a heartbeat, I saw the beach boy again, sand in his hair, promising dune-side vows. Then the gavel fell, and he was gone, carted off to Otisville, the white-collar spa of federal pens. Lila copped a plea, 2 years house arrest in their Hamptons area, emerging as the reformed heiress with a podcast on corporate accountability. Hypocrite. Her episodes glossed over the fraud, pivoting to lessons learned, and sponsored plugs for ethical banking apps. Listeners ate it up. I tuned in once, from a dive bar stool, nursing a Jameson that burned less than her voice. Evelyn. Untouchable, of course. At 82, with a battery of lawyers thicker than her Rolodex, she danced through depositions like a debutante at the Met Gala. Alzheimer's, her attorney claimed, trotting out neurologists with charts showing cognitive decline. Bullshit. I'd seen her sharp as a stiletto during our 4 seasons tete-a-tete, plotting moves 3 steps ahead. The feds couldn't touch her direct involvement. Too old, too insulated. But whispers circulated. Shell companies in the Caymans, trusts funneled to PACs backing senators who gutted financial regs. I got a job, finally, investigative researcher at a scrappy nonprofit in Midtown, the kind that sues polluters and platforms in equal measure. It paid peanuts, but the work felt clean, a balm on the betrayal sores. My boss, a chain-smoking ex-idiot named Rita with a voice like gravel and a heart of fool's gold, saw through my armor on day 1. Heard about you, Ruiz. Hargrove whistleblower. Don't let it define you. Or do. Your call. It defined everything. Colleagues whispered in the break room. Clients eyed me with pity or suspicion. Dates? Forget it. The one blind setup, a earnest teacher from Queens, ended when he Googled me mid-appetizer. Wait, you're that girl? The one who. By Christmas, Mom was in remission, a miracle wrapped in holiday lights and hospital jello. We celebrated in her cramped living room, tinsel strung over faded saints' medals, Eroscon candles steaming on TV trays. Mija, she said, squeezing my hand till the knuckles whitened. You did right. Even if it hurts like hell. Hurts. Yeah. The check fragments from Evelyn sat in a shoebox under my bed. A talisman or temptation. I couldn't decide. New Year's Eve found me at a rooftop party in Dumbo, courtesy of Rita's +1 invite. The kind of bash where tech bros in Patagonia vests pontificate on disrupting injustice over $20 cocktails. I was nursing a gin and tonic, staring at the fireworks exploding over the East River, when a shadow fell across my solitude. Gabriela Ruiz? Holy shit, the legend herself. He was mid-30s, rumpled suit that screamed freelance journalist, with a beard trimmed just shy of hipster and eyes that sparkled with the thrill of a scoop. Jasper Klein, Gotham Gazette. Off the record, mostly. Buy you another? I eyed him warily. Reporters were vultures in human skin, but the gin whispered yes. We talked till the crowd thinned, him probing gently. How's it feel, taking down a dynasty? Cathartic? Or just empty? Both, I admitted, the alcohol loosening the knots. Like winning a war you didn't want to fight. He nodded, scribbling mental notes, then flipped the script. His own scars, a whistleblower piece on Big Pharma that got him blackballed, now scraping by on Patreon rants. By dawn, as the first subway rumbled to life below, we'd exchanged numbers, not for romance, but alliance. If you ever want to talk more Hargroves, he said, hailing a cab, I've got sources. Evelyn's not done scheming. He wasn't wrong. Spring brought leaks. Evelyn's philanthropy tour, ribbon cuttings at women's shelters funded by, surprise, Hargrove remnants. She was rebranding, the grande dame turned advocate, her memoir ghost-written and glowing. Waves of fortune, a legacy redeemed. Publishers ate it up. I gagged on the galleys Jasper slipped me. One chapter gutted me, the shadow of sacrifice. There, in rose-tinted prose, I was recast, the devoted young aide who'd misguidedly shouldered blame out of loyalty. Ethan, the tragic hero, me, the misguided martyr. No mention of the beach, the pleas, the forged fate. Just elegant elision, the kind that makes society nod and forget. Rage reignited, hotter than before. I met Jasper in a Soho cafe, rain pattering the windows like impatient fingers. We expose her, I said, voice steel. The real story, the flips, the funs, the fictions. He grinned, all wolfish ambition. Co-author? Your byline could sell out. We dove in, nights blurring into forensic fever, FOIA requests, offshore dives via hacker pals, interviews with ex-staffers who'd signed NDAs but hated the taste of Evelyn's Kool-Aid. The puzzle assembled ugly. Post-trial, she'd siphoned millions into family trusts that bankrolled Ethan's rehab stints, court-mandated after a coke-fueled bender, and Lila's entrepreneurial ventures. Really, vanity spas for Park Avenue wives. But the kicker, a slush fund to the DA who'd cut my deal, now a judge pushing lenient white-collar sentences. Our piece dropped in July, Gotham Gazette front page, Hargrove heirloom, Evelyn's empire of excuses. It ripped the veil, interviews with me front and center, voice raw. She watched me drown to save the ship. Now she sails on, calling it charity. Backlash hit like a nor'easter. Evelyn's lawyers sued for libel, injunctions flying. Protests outside the Gazette offices, Hargrove loyalists waving signs. Gabriella's greed. My nonprofit put me on leave, pending review. Mom's phone rang off the hook. Old neighbors calling her the mother of the monster. Jasper got death threats. I got doxxed, address splashed on 4chan threads where trolls debated my crazy ex vibes. But the tide turned slow. Congressional hearings, SEC probes reopening old files. Evelyn retreated to her Palm Beach eyrie. Public appearances canceled, memoir yanked from shelves. Ethan reached out from Otisville, a letter smuggled via contraband stamps. You think this helps? Gran's the survivor. You made her a martyr. And me? Still rotting because of you. Attached. A photo, creased and faded. Us on that beach. Arms tangled, futures bright as sea glass. Doubt crept in, a thief in the night. Had I twisted the knife too deep? Exposing Evelyn didn't free me. It chained us tighter, a Gordian knot of grudge. Rita called one rainy afternoon, voice gruff over the line. Kid, come back. We need fighters, not ghosts. I drove to the prison on a whim. Visitors' pass clutched like a confession. Ethan looked hollowed, cheeks gaunt under fluorescent buzz, but his smile. God, that smile, still hooked. Gabe, you came. We talked through plexiglass, voices tinny on the intercom. No recriminations, just remembrances. The dunes, the dreams, the derailment. I flipped because I was scared, he admitted, eyes down. But you're still flipping, aren't you? Every expose, every headline, it's not justice. It's us, killing each other slow. He was right. Or wrong. The lines blurred. Controversy my constant companion. As guards called time, he pressed a hand to the glass. Right to me? Not for forgiveness, for old times. I nodded, throat tight, and left with more questions than answers. Back in the city, Jasper waited with champagne and a new lead. Evelyn's will, contested by Lila, hinting at cutoffs for disloyal heirs. Me? Not named, but implicated in codicils about past sacrifices. The game wasn't over. It never is in America, land of second acts and settled scores. But as thunder rumbled distant, promising another storm, I wondered, was revenge the hook or the bait? And who, exactly, was reeling in who? Summer's swelter clung to the city like a bad conscience, humidity turning every breath into a negotiation with regret. I threw myself into the nonprofit grind upon return, Rita's gruff welcome a lifeline. Don't fuck it up again, Ruiz. We got polluters to pummel. The work was a distraction, filing amicus briefs against fracking barons, rallying tenants against slumlord evictions. But Ethan's words echoed in the quiet moments, a refrain I couldn't mute. It's us, killing each other slow. Was it? Or was it mercy, the slow bleed that cauterized old wounds? Jasper and I kept the fire banked, not doused. Our follow-ups fed freelance gigs, podcasts on whistleblower burnout, op-eds in The Atlantic dissecting the cost of corporate comeuppance. Checks trickled in, enough for takeout tie and a second-hand couch that didn't sag like my resolve. But the hate mail piled up too, typed screeds from Hargrove diehards, anonymous emails laced with go back to the barrio barbs. One night, after a brick through my window, no note, but the scrawled traitor in sharpest said enough, I called Mom. Pack a bag, Mija. Come home for a bit. Home was the Bronx apartment, now half empty with her health rebounding, Saint's candles flickering against the dusk. We cooked, pernil slow roasting till the air thickened with garlic and grief. and talked till the wine bottle wept red tears. You think too much, Gabriella, she said, wiping flour from her hands. Revenge? It's a man's game. Women survive it. Survive. That's what I did, threading normalcy like a needle through frayed fabric. Dates resumed, cautious. Coffee with a graphic designer from Inwood who sketched protest posters. Laughs over shared cynicism. But intimacy? A minefield. Touch triggered flashes. Ethan's hands. Possessive. The cold snap of cuffs in my fevered youth. Fall brought hearings on Evelyn's empire. Subcommittee grillings in marble halls where senators postured for C-SPAN cameras. I testified again, this time voluntary, voice amplified by Jasper's prep sessions. The Hargroves didn't just steal money, I told the suits. They stole trust. Futures. Mine included. Cameras flashed. Applause rippled from the gallery. Outside, paparazzi swarmed, but a new face emerged. Lila, gaunt in a power suit. No makeup to mask the house arrest hollows. Gabriella. Her voice cut through the scrum, heels clicking authority. A word. We retreated to a Capitol deli, formica tables sticky with congressional grease. She ordered black coffee, no sugar, fitting. You won, she said flatly, stirring nothing. Grants hold up, lawyers bleeding her dry. Ethan's. Adjusting. A pause, eyes flicking to my ringless finger. But this? It didn't fix you. I see it. I bristled, but truth stings. What do you want, Lila? Absolution. No. Leverage. She slid a flash drive across, matte black and heavy with implication. Grand's real will, not the public one. You get a cut, 20% of the residuary trust. Offshore, untraceable. In exchange, drop the probes. Let the family fade. 20%. Millions, easy, enough for Mom's forever home. A clinic in the Bronx named Ruiz Resilience. Temptation coiled, serpent slick. Why me? After everything. She leaned in, sorority smile cracking. Because you're the only one who can stop the flips. Ethan's writing a book from inside. Caged gold. A heir's reckoning. Grand's countering with lawsuits. It's war, and you're the wild card. Take the money, Gabe. Buy peace. I pocketed the drive, no promises, and watched her vanish into the metro scrum. Back in New York, Jasper poured over it in his walk-up, pizza boxes as coasters. Holy shit, it's legit. But tainted. Follow the trail, and it's more fraud, art forgeries, political bribes. His eyes gleamed, scoop hungry. We publish. We. The pronoun hung, a question of trust. Jasper had become fixture, late-night strategy sessions bleeding into dawn walks along the High Line, where city lights blurred our boundaries. But was he ally or opportunist? One blurry evening, after 2 mini IPAs at a dive in the village, he kissed me. Tentative, tasting of hops and hope. I pulled back, not ready, the ghost of Ethan too fresh. Too soon? He murmured, no pressure. Too complicated. But the seed planted, vulnerability's vine. Evelyn struck next, a summons to her lawyer's Park Avenue perch, mahogany panels and views that screamed untouchable. She arrived late, wheeled in by a nurse, oxygen tube a serpent under her nose. Freilier, yes, but I still steal. Sit, Gabriella. Sherry, no thanks. Talk. Her laugh wheezed, genuine, direct. I like that, always did. She waved off the nurse, chambering us in silence. Lila's offer? A ploy. The drive's a trap, watermarked files that trace back to you if leaked. She's desperate, clawing for control. Then why tell me? Because you're the daughter I never had. Ruthless. Smart. A cough racked her, but she pressed on. Ethan's book? Fiction mostly, self-pity porn. But it names you as the love that damned him. PR nightmare. Take my reel out. Marry into the fold proper. Lila's husband dies convenient. Widower clause in the trusts. You wed him, secure the line. Millions, legacy, and Ethan's release fast-tracked via connections. Mary? The word landed like a slap. You're insane. Practical. America loves redemption arcs. Yours could be epic. From fall girl to first lady of finance. Her hand, veined in velvet, covered mine. Or burn it. But ask, who suffers? The maids Griselda's age, deported if the funds dry? The scholars at the museum, doors shuttered. Manipulation, vintage Evelyn, flips within flips, decisions that dared you to choose wrong. I fled, air crisp with fallen leaves, the drive burning in my pocket. Jasper waited at my place, takeout cooling. What did the witch say? I told him, omitting the proposal's absurdity. We plugged in the drive. Files bloomed, damning daisies. Evelyn's signatures on the originals, her emails greenlighting my framing. Jackpot, Jasper breathed. This ends her. But as code scrolled, doubt bloomed. Ending her ended them all. Innocence in the crossfire, gray hairs and green cards collateral. That night, Jasper stayed, boundaries blurring again, his touch tentative, mine exploratory. No ghosts this time, just two survivors charting new maps. Morning brought clarity. Publish, but pivot. Not destruction, dissection. Expose the system, not just the spider. Our series launched in winter. Empire's echoes, installments peeling the Hargrove husk layer by layer. No bombshells, just blueprints. How dynasties dodge justice, the revolving doors of power. It resonated, not with rage but reckoning. Reader letters pouring in. Thank you for showing it's not them. It's us. Lila called, voice venom-free. Truce? The drive's yours, no strings. Evelyn sent flowers, card blank, but implication clear. Respect. Ethan? Another letter, softer. Heard about the series. Proud, Gabe. Right back. I did, sporadically. Pen pal purgatory, sharing snippets of life, his of prison yoga and writing workshops. No love, but lines uncrossing slow. Spring thawed the ice, Jasper and I official-ish. Dates at indie flicks, arguments over bylines that ended in laughter. Mom met him over empanadas, nodding approval. Eyes like your father's, trouble, but good trouble. But controversy's a jealous lover. A leak, ours. Theirs, dropped Ethan's book excerpts. Lurid, me cast as femme fatale, the Bronx siren, who seduced and sabotaged. Sales spiked, my inbox flooded with slut-shaming bots. Protests reignited, smaller but sharper. Women's groups versus MAGA moms, picking sides in a war I'd unwittingly waged. Rita pulled me aside one lunch, falafel wrappers between us. You're a lightning rod, kid. Great for the cause, hell on the heart. What's next? Next. The word loomed, a cliff edge. Jasper proposed a road trip, Route 66 Redux, chasing America's underbelly for a book. Tempting. Or stay, dig deeper into Evelyn's final flip. Rumors of a suicide pact clause in her will, dramatic exit to martyr status. Ethan's latest letter tipped the scale. Grand's dying, real this time. Pancreatic. Wants to see you. Says it's unfinished. Unfinished. The hook sank deep. I booked the flight to Palm Beach, Jasper's hand in mine at JFK. Go. Close it. I'll hold the fort. The airy was glass and Gulf breezes, Evelyn a wraith in silk against ocean views. No nurse, just us, hospice hum in the background. You came, she rasped, for drip ticking time. Curiosity. Or closure. I sat, the drive on the bedside table like an offering. She eyed it, chuckling wet. Burn it. Or keep it. Doesn't matter. Lila's got copies. A sigh, eyes distant. I flipped on you because family is a chain, Gabriella. Charles broke me young. I broke them. You? You're free. Or could be. Her hand found mine. Cool as marble. The real secret? The fraud wasn't just money. It hid worse. Charles's affairs. Bastards scattered like bad investments. One's yours, if DNA's right. Ethan's half-brother. Or sister. Test if you want. The room tilted, blood roaring. Sibling? The betrayal fractalized, multiplying sins. Why tell me now? Twist of the knife. Or gift. Decide. Her eyes closed, breath shallowing. She slipped away at dusk, Gulf sun gilding the lie. Funeral was circus. Lila orchestrating. Press cordoned. Me uninvited but crashing anyway. Black dress borrowed from Jasper's ex-eulogies painted her saint. I stood in back, drive clutched, wondering. Expose the bastard bombshell, shatter the remnants? Or bury it, let the chain break natural? As ashes scattered on the waves, Ethan's parole hearing loomed, my testimony could sway. Lila cornered me post-ceremony, eyes red but resolute. Stay gone, Gabe. For all our sakes. For all. The phrase echoed, polarizing paradise. Back in New York, Jasper waited with takeout and questions. What now? Now. The climax crested, decisions edged sharp. I chose, but which path? That's the debate. The dark heart. Justice as scalpel or sledgehammer. Right as absolute or illusion. The choice crystallized on a red-eye back from Florida. turbulence jostling the plane like fate's impatient shove. Below, clouds boiled over the Atlantic, a mirror to the storm in my veins. Evelyn's deathbed detonates, still reverberating. Bastard sibling, hidden in the Hargrove bloodline's bastardy. DNA? I'd swabbed discreetly in her room. Kit from Jasper's reporter go bag, but results loomed like a jury verdict, unopened in my inbox. Expose it, and Ethan's world imploded anew. Parole denied, Lila's facade fractured, a half-sibling dragged into the tabloid tempest. Bury it, and I became accomplice, the flip I'd sworn against. Jasper picked me up at LaGuardia, his beat-up Civic a chariot of normalcy amid the dawn rush. Rough? He asked, handing over a bodega coffee, black as my mood. Apocalyptic. I spilled it all on the drive. Will, whispers, the spectral sibling. He whistled low, merging onto the Van Wyck. That's nuclear. Publish, and your god or goblin. Readers'll split. Hero unmasking monsters, or vulture picking dynasty bones. Split. The word defined us now, America's favorite pastime. Tribes forming over tweet threads, cable screamfests. Hargrove haunt trended as I scrolled, Evelyn's obits leonizing her philanthropic fire, my silence damning or dignified depending on the feed. Back in Bushwick, Mom waited with café con leche and counsel. Secrets are like sins, Mija. Carry them alone, they crush. Share, they scatter. Wise, but waited. I cracked the email, results stark. 99.8% match to a 35-year-old accountant in Seattle, one Marco Ruiz Hargrove. Evelyn's adopted nephew, really Charles's indiscretion with a Long Island nanny. Brother. The revelation landed soft, not shattering. He'd known fragments, sought me post-trial via ancestry sites, but I ghosted, too raw. I called him that afternoon, voice steady over the line. Marco? It's Gabriella. We need to talk. He flew in days later, unassuming in chinos and a mariner's cap, eyes like Ethan's but softer, unscarred by silver spoons. We met at a diner in Astoria, formica and familiarity, over gyros that dripped like unspoken apologies. Gran, Evelyn, hinted once, he said, napkin twisting. Said you were the strong one. Never pushed, didn't want the mess. Mess. Understatement. He was stable. Wife, kid on the way, job crunching numbers for nonprofits. No grudge, just curiosity. You exposed them. Why stop now? Because stopping was the real revenge, denying them the spectacle, the final flip. It's not about them anymore, I said, surprising myself. It's us, building from the rubble. He nodded, half-smile kin. Then let's. Quietly became our pact. No headlines, just connection. Marco met Jasper over beers, the three of us plotting not takedowns, but takings, diverting trust scraps to real causes, anonymous bequests to Bronx clinics, tenant legal aid. Lila caught wind, a terse email. If this is blackmail. But no follow-through, her empire ebbing, focus on rebranding retreats in Bali. Ethan's parole hearing was the true test, DC summons arriving like a gauntlet. Jasper drove me down I-95, radio alternating NPR ethics debates and pop anthems that mocked our gravity. What'll you say? He asked, hand on my knee, steady now. Our rhythm settled into something real. Ms. Ruiz, the chair intoned, your statement? I stood, notes folded away. Ethan Hargrove betrayed me once. Asked me to sign my future away for his family's sins. I did out of love. That love's gone, but the lesson lingers. We're all capable of flips, of choosing self over soul. He served time, literal and otherwise. Release him, with conditions, restitution, real work. Not for me, but for the ripples we both caused. Murmurs rippled. Ethan's gaze held gratitude, guarded. Post-hearing, in the lobby's fluorescent limbo, he approached, unchained, a guard hovering. That was mercy I don't deserve. Call it even. No hug, but a nod, closure's currency. Write your book. Make it honest this time. He did, months later. Dunes of deceit, ghosted but genuine. My role reframed not as siren but sentinel. Sales-funded scholarships. Ruiz Hargrove grants for first-gen kids dodging the traps we'd fallen into. Controversy simmered. Critics cried, whitewash. Fans hailed healing. I read it in snippets. Jasper's arm around me on the fire escape, city hum a hymn to half measures. Evelyn's estate settled in summer's haze, Lilo executor, Marco and I silent beneficiaries. Funds funneled through his clean accounts, no traces. She cornered me at the closing, a Soho loft turned ashram. You're in now, like it or not. Don't waste it. Waste? I echoed, signing proxies. That's your department. She laughed, brittle. Touché. Truce holds. For now. Sides blurred. She'd flipped to fragile, I to forgiving? Or just fatigued? Fall wedding for Jasper and me. Small, Bronx backyard. Mom's perennial centerpiece. Marco toasting with borrowed eloquence. Ethan sent a card from halfway house. Happiest to you, Gabe. No chains this time. Lila? A crystal vase, monogrammed, peace offering or poison pill. I used it for wildflowers, thorns and all. Life layered on. Nonprofit promotion. Jasper's book deal on whistleblower wives. Marco's visits with niece-in-waiting cooing at Tia Gabe. But tension threaded under. Evelyn's codicil surfacing in probate fights, a clause voiding gifts if disloyalty deemed. Lila sued, naturally, dragging Marco in as usurper. Courtroom redux. But this time, I took the stand voluntary. Disloyalty? Try survival. The Hargroves built on backs like mine. Now it's time to redistribute. Judge ruled split. Trusts half to causes, half to heirs. Lila fumed. Marco exhaled. I walked out to Jasper's grin. Polarization achieved. Beers. The twist landed quiet. No thunder. Ethan's book tour hit a snag. Anonymous leaks of his prison letters, love notes to a guard that tabloidized his rehab romance. Public split. Adulterer or human? He called. Voice wry. You're doing? Nah. Karma's got better aim. But doubt flickered. Who tipped? Lila's revenge? My subconscious slip? Ending? No tidy bow. Happy in fragments. Mom's clinic ribbon cut. Marco's family fused. Jasper's ring a promise unpawned. By kitchen echoes. The empire's ghost. Controversies that coffee clutch eternal. Was I avenger or enabler? Righteous or ridiculous? America thrives on the debate, after all. And me? I sleep sounder, storms just rain now. But in quiet hours, I wonder, if kindness started this, that umbrella in the gale, what cruelty ends it? Or does it ever? The city doesn't care. It churns on, umbrellas up, secrets down, waiting for the next hook to snag a soul.